chances are, you're a smart person, you have multiple different areas of your life figured out. We all do. We all have different areas of our life that we really have down, but yet there's this one area where it's just not quite landing. For some of us, that's in our business. For others, that's in our health. For others, that's our relationship. But there's this one area that you can't quite get down. Most manifestation or creation techniques or theories talk about how to do that from the level of the mind. Today, we're going to talk about how to do that from the level of the body. And that right there, the nervous system of the body, is the secret and often missing piece. You cannot manifest what doesn't feel safe in the nervous system. I'll say that one more time. You can't manifest what doesn't feel safe to the nervous system. So what's important to remember is that we are biological, historical, linguistic, quantum beings. And most people, when they're talking about manifestation, are talking about the quantum level, the being the right vibrational match to what it is that you want. Now, that's brilliant and great and can be really powerful. However, if we don't have the biological, historical, linguistic component on board, essentially our animal body, then what it is that we're actually working on attracting and bringing into our lives, creating in our lives, isn't going to work. Because as long as the animal body, the nervous system, is detecting what it is that we want as a cue of danger, then your whole system, your whole unconscious mind, your whole body is going to be resistant to actually taking the actions and the steps forward to what it is that you want. So that's why we can often procrastinate on things, put things off, find a million other tasks to do, versus doing the one thing that we really wanting to bring into our lives, is because the biology, the body is so powerful. And what we need to learn how to do is to actually how to get the body, the nervous system, online with what it is that we are calling in. And when we do that, we start to see remarkable shifts because we're open to it, we're ready for it. And there's a really good test. So as you're listening to this now, I want you to think about that one thing, that one area of your life that you're really wanting to call in. That could be a relationship. That could be more wealth. That could be a new business. And as you're feeling into that, as you're thinking about that, is there any resistance in your body to that? Are you attuned, using your own intelligence, just feeling your own body? Can you feel any resistance to what it is that you actually want? And just listen for the cue. And if there's a cue there, that means there's something. There's something that is signaling from our historical experience, from our lived experience, that that thing that you really want might not be safe. How can something that you really want also be something that you're afraid of? Some examples of this would be, for example, if you want to be a personality brand, but there's a part of your nervous system that is afraid of being visible and being seen, then your nervous system, your body, is going to prevent that desire coming forward. If for whatever reason, having more wealth and more money based on your lived historical experience also means that you're going to be evil or bad if you have that thing, well, then your body, your nervous system is not going to move towards that which you want. If love and intimacy and connection for you was either overwhelming, meaning there was too much of it and it was kind of put onto you in a way that didn't feel good for you, or there wasn't enough of it, then having love, connection, intimacy could also be a cue of danger for your nervous system. So understanding that there can be something that you really want and truly desire, and also what you truly want and truly desire can also be a cue of danger. And when we can recognize that, then we can actually begin to do the work to create new patterns and to break those beliefs, and essentially to create a nervous system and a body that can hold what it is that you want. So now that we've understood that we are biological beings, as we are creating our life in the quantum field, we're also biological particles vibrating. And a part of that is the nervous system. So we're going to talk more about that in a second, but I just want to break this down in terms of the rest of the components that are also at play here. So that the second piece is that we're also historical beings, meaning that the nervous system that you have inherited, a lot of the beliefs and stories that you have inherited, have come from historical patterning. They've come from mum and dad. They've come from their mum and dad, grandma and grandpa, which have come from their parents, and so on and so forth. So our nervous systems get passed down from generation to generation, from mammal to mammal, that they move down the line so that when we come into this world, we can be prepared for the environment that we are going to grow into. And that's a really beautiful adaptive strategy. However, when we are wanting greater levels of intimacy or wealth, or to step out into our fullest expression in our lives, whatever that is, that those mechanisms can come up. What's really beautiful about this is that we can actually begin to see and feel that it's not personal. This was passed down. These are patterns that have been passed down. And when we can see that they are patterns that have been passed down, we can also recognize that if they have been created by past generations, that they can also be recreated. We can see the fact that it's just a set of patterns, and we can recondition those patterns to be in alignment with a type of body and nervous system that has what it is that you want. So just because your parents or grandparents didn't create a type of healthy, passionate, connective love doesn't mean that you can't. Just because your parents didn't have the level of wealth that you want in your life doesn't mean that you can't. Just because your parents didn't have the level of health and vitality that you want doesn't mean that you can't. What you actually get to do when you also recognize this as well, to take it a level deeper, is that we can also recognize, holy shit, if all of those patterns were passed down, I can be the one to change those patterns and pass those down the other side. So there's also like a deepening of motivation when this really lands that can really support us in doing what's necessary to really change these patterns, not just for ourselves, but for all of those in our lives, both that's already here and those that are here to come. So to successfully create what it is that you want to create, you've got to do two things. You've got to get your nervous system on board with what it is that you want. And you've got to clean up anything that is in the way from your biological or historical programming that is in the way of you fully embodying that in your life. So let me give you some examples. So for example, you want to create another business or a thriving, successful business. And there's two pieces to this. One, yes, you have to learn the prerequisite skills in order to actually be able to go away and do that. The and is that you also have to build a nervous system that can hold that level of life and responsibility and potentially visibility that goes alongside the skills that it takes to create a successful, thriving business. You need both. You need the outer skills, but you also need the nervous system that can hold that type of life. So let's pretend this balloon is your nervous system. So you're wanting a bigger life. You're wanting to be able to stretch yourself into whatever it is that you're growing into next. So whether that be more money, more connection, more visibility, learning new skills. So if I just keep putting air into this balloon, it's going to pop. Just like if I just keep putting more into my life without expanding my nervous system's capacity to hold it, I'll pop, you'll pop. So what we actually need to learn how to do is learn how to expand our body, our nervous system's capacity to hold that life. What we're really talking about here is that there's a skill set component, but there's also an energetic nervous system component. So when we talk about energetics, it doesn't just have to be kind of woo-woo. It's really very practical. It's like we're getting our biological bodies on board with what it is that we want. So how do we then strengthen our nervous systems to be able to hold the type of life that we want? Now, there are a few ways that we can do this. The first is through classical conditioning. So just like if we want to strengthen any pathway or you want to strengthen any muscle, you would go to the gym and you would lift weights over time, and that muscle would strengthen so that you could pick up more weight. Our nervous system, our emotional system works in the same way. So we can learn how to hold more capacity, meaning that we can learn how to create a deep sense of safety and connection and trust within our bodies, within our animal bodies and nervous system. and then learn how to go to the edges of where we feel stressed and be able to bring that back down into a space of connection and trust and safety. We can learn how to go the opposite way, the parts where we want to run away, where we want to avoid. We can go there where depression lives. We can go there and we can teach the nervous system how to come back up, how to reactivate, and how to come back into connection. And every time we groove those neural pathways, we groove those pathways through our body, through our nervous system, we're teaching the body how to expand its capacity. The second pathway is through immersive experience. So normally I recommend doing this after you've done some classical conditioning. This would be the equivalent of a basketball player, visualizing shooting hoops to then actually getting on the court and shooting those hoops. So immersive experience is actually really getting into whatever it is that you are maybe afraid of or the edges that you're pushing on. For example, if you're afraid of public speaking, booking a week-long public speaking course would certainly create the immersive experience that you would get to push those edges and really get to explore what it is for you to be fully expressed in a type of public environment like that. Firstly is getting the nervous system on board through some classical conditioning. Then you really want to put yourself to the test and actually make this real, because the nervous system is show, not tell. The animal body is show, not tell. The last piece also works into our animal body. Now, we have evolved to be the apex mammal on this planet because we work together. So one of the other ways to shortcut this process is to actually get around other nervous systems, other people that have what it is that you want, because their nervous system already holds the keys or the frequency or a level of safety to that thing for them. So if you can get around them and you can start to have the experience of like, oh my God, John or Paul or Steve is kind of just like me, and he's able to completely have that thing that it is that I want in his nervous system, your body, through a process of co-regulation, is going to be attuning to what's going on, all of the data that's beyond just the language, and is going to begin to receive some of that. So you can start to see, okay, it's safe for John, it's safe for Peter, it's safe for Paul. Maybe it's safe for me. So I really want this to be able to land for you. So I'm going to do a quick recap on everything that we've covered in this video. And I'm first going to explain it from what not to do. So this is how not to get what it is that you want, how not to manifest what you want. And as I'm sharing this, I invite you to listen for areas of where this might be true for you, and to then think about its opposite. So the first is being unclear. So if you are unclear, both physically, energetically, about what it is that you want, you're not going to get to where you want to get to. Point 2 is holding on to fears in your body, in your nervous system, whether that be conscious or unconscious. So this is the part where what it is that you want might also be a cue of danger for your nervous system. The third part is only sitting in the feeling of what it is that you want without taking any action. So you're doing your manifestation work, you're visualizing the future, you're feeling it in your body, but then as you actually go to do it, your nervous system reverts back to an old pattern and you don't actually do it. Point 4 would be taking empty action without tapping into the emotion. So you're kind of just running on a hamster wheel without really tapping into the energy of what it is that you want, because in that energy and the feeling is the juice, is the drive, is the frequency that's going to align you with what it is that you want. Point 5 is stuck in the same reality loop, either confirming your current reality or judging the reality that which you want. So if you do any of those 5 things, just take it as a note. It's a pattern. It's not a judgment. And from that, we can begin to actually create new patterns. So let's talk about the opposite of that. The first would be ensuring that you're having somewhere that you're aiming that's very clear. So that sense of clarity, whether it be in your relationship or your business, doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be clear. The second is ensuring that your nervous system feels safe with what it is that you want, so that you've cleaned up any beliefs and you've got a sense of genuine safety and trust and confidence in your body, in your nervous system, towards that goal, towards what it is that you're working on. Point 3 and 4 I've combined. So that's ensuring that as you're sitting doing your energetic work, that you're also following that up with action. So you're sitting, you're doing your practices, you're allowing yourself to feel the aliveness of a connected relationship, to feel the power and responsibility and beauty and bringing your gifts to the world. Whatever it is, you're feeling the energy, and then you're following that up with action in your life. The last piece is celebrating that which you want. So when you see people have that which you want, to celebrate them, to get into the energy, to recognize, oh, there's a little bit of judgment, recognize it and shift to celebration. Oh my God, that person has the car, the relationship, the life, the business, the notoriety, whatever it is that you want, to move into an energy of celebration. And then also to ask yourself, how can you get around more people who are in this energy, who are having what you want, so that you can learn from them, both at a very literal level, you can learn how they did it, but also beyond that, you can allow your nervous system to kind of co-regulate, and you can get the state transference of the nervous system that holds that type of life. When the mind and the body are on board with what you want, you'll have what you want because there's no resistance. So if this video today has resonated with you, there is a free app called the ToolBox. It's full of nervous system trainings, meditations, different tools and techniques that have really supported me on my journey and also support my one-on-one clients. And the link for that is in the description below. Thank you, my friends. I'll see you here next week.